Rigorous meditation involves sitting quietly and So when I was doing that reading, this happens all the time. If you think about something else whilst you're reading, you're going to be less well reading it. And by that I mean, if you think of something like, oh, I hope I don't fuck this up, or I hope I don't do something wrong, that will make it more likely for me to do exactly that. So when I'm reading this piece from Everything is Fucked, what I'm trying to manifest is a state in which all I focus on is the words themselves and the sentence. I don't think of anything else. Rigorous meditation involves sitting quietly and mercilessly observing yourself. Every thought, every judgment, every inclination, every minute fidget and flake of emotion and trace of assumption that passes before your mind's eye is ideally captured, acknowledged, and then released back into the void. What that quote is trying to personify is a phenomenon, a phenomenon which happens in a lot of cases of induced pain or hardship. People who start running, start getting into exercise, start getting into activity which feels worse in the moment than what they were doing right before the activity. All these activities involve a degree of consumerism, whereby people buy the material stuff and they justify it by saying they commit to that action. For example, if someone is trying to get into running, they may justify buying new running shoes because that will make them more likely to commit to running. Whereas in fact, maybe they just wanted to buy the shoes because they look good, or maybe they want to be perceived as someone who runs. The epitome of life's experience, from what I've been hearing, is the journey is always going to be better than the destination. The destination is overrated. It is normalized in a long enough time frame. It becomes your new normal. You hedonically adapt. It feels just the same as before. There might be a specific period where you feel the change in speed, where you feel the acceleration, but it doesn't last long. What you need to learn to manifest and to bloom is the journey. Almost think of controlled and induced pain as something which you love as a sort of devil's advocate. So say you're a man and you want to be seen as someone who enjoys the hardship. Okay, you're David Goggins, the person who doesn't exercise for the benefits of exercise, but exercises for the feeling it gives them, the hardship, almost a masochistic sort of relationship with it. It sounds so weird and so fucked up even, but that masochistic relationship you have with exercise will always get you much further. But then again, we're coming to the same conundrum. I said it will get you further. We don't care about the destination, remember? So when I meditate, I normally meditate because I'm pursuing the benefits I get from it. I pursue the presence. I pursue the change in perception, the perspective I gain. But really, what I should be going after, looking for, what I should be sorting after is that suffering in the silence. That suffering in, if I was to imagize it, it'd almost be like this single water droplet which falls from somewhere, and it just falls, reaches terminal velocity, and then hits the ground. You hear it hit the ground, and it echoes, almost exponentially decaying in volume, where that sound you heard, which is now reverberating, echoing around the room, you can almost sense it still. As it gets quieter, you won't be able to not hear it. Or rather, you won't be able to hear it. But the rate at which it is fading means that you can sort of indefinitely hear it if you almost actualize it being there. So if there was a massive bell here, and they have this all the time in Thailand in the temples, you get the hammer to the bell, rings the bell, loud sound, and it gradually fades out, fades. But when do you stop hearing it? Because if someone was to do a test where they lined up 10 participants, they struck the bell, and all the participants were asked to click a button when they heard the sound stop. You could do this repeated number of times or with more people, but of course it will depend on their hearing ability, how young they are through correlation. But when truly does the bell stop moving? When truly does the raindrop stop echoing? Because the fact that we never know almost allows us to imagine it being there. Because we don't hear a distinct binary off, it's always just quivering in between reality and imagination. These videos where I have a really specific topic to talk about, I always go on a tangent like this, whether it's intentional or unintentional. And normally it never really is actually that relevant to the topic I'm talking about, but having to try and link it back to that topic is a good thing to practice, in my experience. This constant practice of speaking without filler words, without anything like that, I've perfected that I never say a filler word anymore. I used to go to fill all the white space, but you don't need to. What you come to realize is stuff like that is simply just a symptom of a underlying discrepancy within the communication behavior of that person. So I'm going off on another tangent here. So if you see someone presenting and they're going, it just leaches insecurity. You can almost like suck it up out of the air. It's weird. And it's so weird how people think the silence instead is weirder. Like, say I'm presenting now. I'll role play. So I'm presenting this plant. Okay. This plant. Let's say I'm selling it to you. Okay. Sell me this plant. So what's your current experience with plants? Are you looking for a plant which you need indoors, outdoors? Do you want something that looks nice? Or something that maybe smells nice? Get to know the person's preferences. I don't know why I'm explaining it, I should be selling it. It's been scientifically proven that plants, and even the colour green, can increase mood, mental health, and decrease your risk of depression and anxiety. It's a really cheap and affordable way to boost your life. And it just so happens I have a plant here. I mean, I could sell this to you right now. I have many other customers who want it, but I can make an exception for you. It's the last one we have in stock. So what I tried doing there was trying to sell the need for the plant. Of course, I lied with the scientific study, but it's just the practice of trying to sell that need. But what I was saying there is, or what I was trying to demonstrate, was I didn't use any filler words. I'm comfortable in the silence. You need to become familiar with the silence, because the more familiar you are with something, the less daunting, the less unknown it is, and the more comfortable you are with it. So when silence occurs at points where it shouldn't, where you're mid-sentence, those are the times you're going to want to say more. So first you need to make sure that when you're changing sentences, it's clean. There's no filler words. Hello, my name is Ben. I'm 18 years old. I'm at Southampton University and I'm a first-year student in economics and politics, currently undertaking my second semester. Pretty comfortable there. Let's try adding in silence midway through. Hello, my name is Ben. I go to the University of Southampton and I'm 18. I'm enjoying my time here at Southampton. I've learnt a lot. I started this YouTube channel in September. It was a very interesting period of my life because I was going through transition and almost an identity shift. Practice speaking like this over and over and over again. Because once again, the more you do something, the better you get with it because you're more familiar and it's less unknown. and the less conscious bandwidth you have to provide for it. Because the less conscious it is, the more unconscious it is, which means the less thought you have to give it, which means the more bandwidth and consciousness you have to give with stuff that you actually need it for. In an ideal world, you want your consciousness to be zero. Okay, people in flow state, it's solely their unconsciousness controlling them. Literally. When the best tennis players in the world are preparing to serve, their consciousness will be clear. In fact, the sole role of the consciousness is to try and numb down its involvement as much as possible. If I am serving, I'm bouncing the ball on the ground, racket in my right hand, bouncing. If I'm trying to neurotically think about how to serve, I am more likely to fuck up that serve compared to the person who's practiced so much that he doesn't need to think. His body just does. It just does it. Bounce, 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 up. Nothing went through their head. Nothing. It's the same with conversation and presence. When someone is present in a conversation, they're not thinking about anything else. They're completely absorbed and immersed in that interaction. There's a specific word which Robert Greene was writing a new book about it. He was talking to Andrew Huberman once about it. And there's a specific word he used. I don't know if it was submerge or it was something to do with being so like a task or so like something that's happening that you almost become that thing. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll end it there. I was just practicing my talking a lot in this video. I literally dipped around over. I can't even remember what the topic of this video was about. And yeah, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.